Hey, everybody, it's Patrick.
And I'm Greg.
With the next in our series of Advent Calendar Reveals featuring retro computers that we've all used.
All right, excellent. What do we have today, Patrick?
Well, Greg, today we have one of your favorites, the Commodore VIC-20, which I think was released in 1980.
Well, it was released in Japan in 1980. The rest of the world got it in 1981.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I got a bunch of information about this thing. VIC-20, the introductory price was $299, really blasting away the floor of computer pricing. And it hooked to a color TV or black and white TV. So it really put it in the hands of a lot more people. In fact, Jack Tramiel, the founder of Commodore, his slogan was computers for the masses, not for the classes. That was one of his things.
We do have
$299.
We do have some ads for this, television ads, because this was, as you just said, one of the first computers for the masses. So it was advertised as such. And we can show those off now. I was very surprised to see who their spokesperson was for the launch of the computer.
Oh, yeah. A very recognizable face.
This kid just got a video game for Christmas. He can look forward to years of fun trying to reach 18 million. This kid just got a Commodore VIC-20 home computer. He can look forward to learning basic computer language, doing his own programs, playing some games along the way, and maybe even inventing his own games. Oh, a final argument for the VIC-20. Someday, both kids will be looking for a job.
When it comes to video games, nobody compares to Atari.
I find Intellivision more sophisticated and lifelike. Gentlemen, move over for my friend Vic.
The Commodore VIC-20.
Move over?
The Commodore VIC-20 does more than your machines. It's a great computer that also plays great games. Like this, and this, and this.
A computer that plays great games?
Under $300?
Exactly.
We didn't know.
Get the Commodore VIC-20 computer for under $300. Why buy just a video game from Atari or Intellivision? Invest in the wonder computer of the 1980s for under $300. The Commodore VIC-20. Unlike games, it has a real computer keyboard. With the Commodore VIC-20, the whole family can learn computing at home. Plays great games, too. Under $300, the wonder computer of the 1980s, the Commodore VIC-20.
Coming soon, Commodore brings you Gorf, the Wonder arcade game, and Omega Race in home versions. Commodore.
Those were some interesting commercials. I found it particularly interesting that one of them, they were going head-to-head against two game consoles, the Intellivision and the Atari, as opposed to head-to-head against the Atari computer or another computer of that time frame.
Yeah, and it took cartridges. The VIC-20 was notorious for that cartridge slot is a beast. You have to really push it in and really pull to get them out. But and the price point was $299, $1,010 in today's money. They sold 2.5 million units of that. It had the MOS 6502 CPU, 5K of memory, which 3.5K was free for the user to use. Now, something else that I had remembered, and I had forgotten, I just remembered earlier today. I thought it had happened later in the life of Commodore, but in 1976, while they were working on the PET, their first computer, that is when they bought MOS in 1976.
Yeah,
So,
that was if I remember the story correctly, Texas Instruments, which was coming out with their TI-99, started getting into a little bit of a price war, and Commodore didn't like the fact that they didn't own the CPU they were using. where they had to buy it. So they couldn't control the pricing and the manufacturing and everything else.
Right. So they just bought Moss.
Yep. That was one of their motivator. And then they were able to have them develop special versions of the 6502 that were used in later machines.
Right. Absolutely. Like the 6510 that we'll see eventually here.
Yep.
That's about all I got for that one, Patrick.
Well, I was going to ask you, were there peripherals for this thing? Were there other
everything? Standard use in the day was a cassette deck. It could take a printer, no problem. It had cartridges. In fact, RAM expansion cartridges as well. And then they came up with expansion cards that had a couple sets of fingers, so you could expand the RAM and use game cartridge on top of that.
Oh, okay.
It had 2 Atari joystick ports because it was mostly used for games. I don't care what those commercials show about people making spreadsheets and learning the program, but I mean, it does give people a taste of programming with the BASIC.
And was the BASIC in this the same that later came out in the Commodore 64?
Pretty much version 2. It might have been version 2.1 or something like that. But yeah, it was all the original Microsoft BASIC.
Okay. Good deal. Hope you like this latest reveal on our advent calendar of retro computers. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up.
And if you want to keep watching, hit that subscribe button. And if you hit the bell, you'll get notified every time we have a new episode.
And if you haven't watched all of the videos in this series, there should be a link on your screen so you can go to our advent calendar playlist and see past episodes.